We are back once again. It is AussieVerse bringing the review to you. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode because we don't really have that much to talk about. So we thought we'd go live for once and hopefully get a bit of interaction going. As usual, I hope you know this by now. Obviously, it says it down there. I am OmniBeau, joined by my partner, Mark Grodd Watson. How are you, Mark?
I'm good. Yeah. It felt like a bit of a filler episode this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess people out there, if you're watching, help us get this conversation rolling. Tell us what you thought about even the first 3 episodes. We're willing to discuss it.
Yeah.
And yeah.
As usual, please like and subscribe. Please share this place around because we do want to grow. I keep meaning to talk to Mark actually about an idea that I have for a 400 sub giveaway. So stay tuned for that. As usual, we are proudly sponsored by Comx Studios. Go check out that link and it will supply all of your Australian comic book needs. They are a great bunch of people there. And it is, a really good place to hang out and talk comics. You can find us on AussieVerse Comics Collectibles on Instagram, and all thumbnails, intros of an upcoming outro is all done by the wonderful A51 Design. So you can find on Instagram right there. If you need any work done, go hit them up. They are fantastic. And that is enough of the plug-in. Let's get down to the loving. We have a couple of comments here. Here we go. And of course, it's Claudia. Hey guys, thank you very much. Yeah, man, this was the longest Moon Knight episode by far. Well, maybe not by far, but it was the longest episode, which is a bit ironic because to me it was a bit, What about you?
Yeah, I 100% agree. It was a bit meh. It's just a few things that just were a bit plot wise, and it's just I don't know how to describe it. One thing I will point out, I didn't quite like the fact of they pierced Moon Knight through the chest a few times and it just didn't really do anything to him. He's just standing there with just a few staffs through his body. I like others have said, I'm only reasonably new with him. I didn't think he was that indestructible.
Yeah, I was looking into that actually, and apparently he's got some sort of healing factor, which I was completely unaware of as well. But even still, it was a bit like, what is this guy, indestructible? He just doesn't feel anything and he just keeps going,
Yeah, you can't really heal death, can you? I mean, that should kill you.
well, actually, in saying that, you got to remember that that's how he started being Moon Knight. He died. So, yeah, I guess you can cure death in the MCU.
Well, that's the thing, though. I thought that he can die, but then he has to be brought back, not the fact of he can just take things through the chest and heart. And that confused me that bit. So, yeah.
It was funny for once to be able to see their personality switches happening on a conscious level and not through head trauma and acts of violence. They're really accepting the other personalities here for once, and that was a good little road of development, I think.
Yeah. And any theories of what this other personality is going to be?
I think they're hinting at. Hang on, I've made some notes here. Jake Lockley, of course, the cab driver, because that's the other famous, well-known Moon Knight personality. Because they did hint that there was another one. You're right. And for those that don't know, Jake Lockley is like the Matches Malone Batman reference sort of personality, cab driver kind of slumming it kind of guy. So if they're going to bring out another personality, then I'd put my money on it being that personality.
Yep. Also, I noticed the dude that was, and I forget the name of whoever the dude who had just the robe on with no shirt underneath.
Yep.
Yeah, they had it in your memory because he passed away this year.
He did. He did.
Yeah.
That guy was actually playing a character in the comics who was known as Midnight Man.
That's right, yeah.
And he was an art thief who
Yep.
died and then came back and tried to be Moon Knight's sidekick, but he was very unsuccessful in that role when you go read those comics. But yeah, obviously they were probably going to do a bit more with him, but
Yeah.
the guy did pass away. So that was a bit shocking when we found that out, because I didn't even know who he was before when I found out he died. So it didn't hit me emotionally, but it's obviously still sad.
Yeah. I only found out the next day, so yeah. I saw it in your memory, so yeah.
Yeah.
And the other dude who the African American dude with the shaved head, he's an actual villain in the comics too. I forgot the name. Is it? I have Midnighter on my name for some reason. But
yeah, I think it's Beck, maybe. Something with a B, but yeah, he's another minor character as well.
Oh, yeah. So a couple of little minor villains, so that's all right.
Yeah,
that's cool.
These are pretty big, deep Moon Knight cuts, though. Like, you've got to be a bit of a Moon Knight fan to know any of this, and even if you do, does it really matter as well? Which is a bit, sad to the mythology of Moon Knight, I guess.
Yeah.
I did notice that the episode was titled "The Friendly Type," so I'm guessing that was like a nod at them meeting the friendly gods this time. When they met the other 9, I think it was 9 gods in this pantheon. So that's a nice little way to know what you're walking in on, I guess, because Khonshu's always been labelled, the prick, and Amit's obviously worse than the prick. So, yeah. It was, I got to admit, though, I really did love the acting with Oscar Isaac when Khonshu was talking through him in the Pyramid of Giza. Oh, this is what I think.
That would have been so hard. That would have been so hard.
Yeah. I got a kick out of that.
Yeah, me too. He's been great. I mean, like, even the change between him and Steve later on is like, you do believe it's 2 different people. Like, he's done really well for himself.
Yeah. And his wife's a bit of a badass too, isn't she?
Yeah. My partner, when we was watching it, she's going, those things on her neck, I'm going, they have to be weapons. And later on, she used them. So, yeah.
I didn't pick up on that, but she was, she saw that before I did. That was well done. She just goes, ching, like that. That was mad. I loved that. Yeah.
That was cool.
So they've finally discovered its tomb in this episode. So no doubt that's going to be coming in the next episode. Or I really hope it's not going to be a thing where you keep waiting to lead up to it and then it's just all in the last episode. I hope it's in the next episode, for example, and then they obviously fight Amit, and then there's more of a storyline after that. However, I do highly doubt that's the road they're going to go down. It would probably be the last episode, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I reckon so too. We're going to have another filler of something. I mean, like, we're going to have to probably dive into what Mark is keeping a secret from his wife, because Harrow mentioned something like that.
Yeah.
How he's lying to her, and I'm actually really digging Ethan Hawke as the villain. Like, I'm really hating him, to be honest. I mean, like, I've never really liked him as an actor anyway, but this is actual good acting, to be honest.
Well, if you look up his IMDb account, I've gone blank of what the movie's called, but I just saw a trailer a couple of days ago of a horror movie that's coming out, because I know you're a horror fan like I am.
Yeah.
And he's starring in a new movie coming out, and it looked really good. So I'm hoping that comes out soon. He dresses up as a clown, and then he abducts children and keeps them in a basement and things like that. And there's a bit of supernatural elements to it. So I'm looking forward to seeing that too.
Sweet, yeah. So he's
There's
Nice.
nothing wrong with that. Ashamed to say, there's nothing wrong with that, mate.
Nothing wrong. You're with everybody else, pretty much. But
It's funny, because Moon Knight, in my very first pile of comics that I ever got as a kid, I had a little digest book that was obviously reprints of Spider-Man comics, and it was Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man, and on the cover was Moon Knight, and it was a crossover with Spider-Man and Moon Knight, and I remember seeing that character, and I really dug it as a kid. But then Moon Knight just disappeared from comics for like, I don't know, a good 20 years, I think. Like, he was just never around ever. And I figured he was one of those characters that just died off. No one gave a shit about again. And then about, I don't know, 5 years ago, maybe 10 at the most, he's just come back in full force with such popularity. So that's, really good to see. Might be either Ethan Hawke as the Avatar or Mark Spector and his wife's dad. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
That could still be coming back up.
Yeah, definitely. Because we all want to know, but yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people say Moon Knight is a lot like Batman, but I disagree. I mean, obviously, if you take away the split personalities, then yeah, okay, he'd be a lot like Batman. If he was just the rich guy, then yeah. But I would put it out there that I know a lot of other people agree with, is that Daredevil is actually the Batman of the MCU.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, that's what I reckon. But yeah, there's definitely qualities about Moon Knight that are very Batman-esque.
Well, it's mainly just the working at night with the cape and just like in the white. I guess the look and the feel to how he brings fear to his victims or to the bad guys. I guess that's the similarity that you put into Moon Knight. But everything else, it doesn't really add up. It more adds up Daredevil, except Matt Murdock's not really rich either. So,
yeah. One thing I really do dig about the series so far, but before I get to that point, I'll say one of the things that I'm not digging is the lack of actual Moon Knight in the show. That's been a disappointment for me. But it is what it is. I mean, I'm not saying I'm hating it or anything like that. I just want to see more Moon Knight. But one thing that I am digging and really like a lot is how you have these elements in comics that are nearly impossible to portray on a screen. And one of the things that I didn't think they'd ever be able to really pull off is how his cape turns into a crescent moon, because that's just impossible, in real life, and they've ended up doing it a couple of times. And that's really, really cool to see that they've done that. I really, really like that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I want to see more Mr. Knight.
Yeah.
I want to see that. I want to see him use those batons.
I also like how all the gods sort of link up together like Voltron, and with our powers combined, Captain Planet it, and they start calling down all the beds. So it's almost like we have a certain amount of power, but when we connect, we have even more power. Consulate is a bit of a dick. Can we agree the costume elements of both are great? Yeah, exactly right, Mr. Facebook user. I definitely agree with you there. So let's see what else I've got here. They mentioned Madripoor again. So they've mentioned that a few times now in different MCU, I don't know, shows or movies. So it seems to be in the MCU, it's more just like a villain's sort of, not hideout, but like an area that villains go to hang out. But I also noticed that at Madripoor they had the Princess Bar, which is in the Wolverine comics. Wolverine's gone there a couple of times, so it's good that they're sort of really bringing in those little X-Men nods, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
They also mentioned the Overvoid, which is the pocket dimension where the Egyptian gods now live after leaving mankind. That's been in the Moon Knight comics a lot. And it also looks like they're pretty much giving all of Bushman's story to Harrow. Do you know Bushman?
Yeah, that's actually apparently who that the bald-headed guy was cast as, Bushman. Because
Oh,
I looked it up on the cast. That's the name I was thinking of.
yeah,
The one that the wife killed.
yeah. And look, to be honest with you, mate, that's all I've got. I didn't really dig the episode in general. I mean, it was okay, but I don't know, man. When you've got only 6 episodes, you kind of want them all to be killer, and it might be unrealistic of me to think that they should be or could be. And there's got to be some sort of filler in there. So I'm really set in a couple of different ways of thinking, you know. But now we're halfway through the show. The last 3 just better be absolutely kick ass. And I say better be like, you know, I'm going to do anything about it. But,
Yeah.
you know, they just better be. Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Well, one thing I did notice, you know, they're looking up the map and the stars, and they've got to rewind it at the very end there.
Yeah.
They do realise that you can actually do that on the internet, can't you?
I didn't pick up on that, actually.
Well, it's basically math, isn't it? Because the stars, because they just move in one motion, so you can actually go back to where the stars were like back then without them actually doing that. I think that's my point. I think they can do that on the internet. They didn't have to do, and he didn't have to get imprisoned, and I don't know.
Yeah. I kind of wondered how the whole world isn't seeing this, you know. But I looked into it, and apparently it was more of a visualization thing, not like they're really actually doing it. And that's why only people in Egypt, it affected them. You know what I mean?
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise, you know, Spider-Man's in New York stopping villains, and then all of a sudden the stars, you know.
Yeah. Wow, what's that?
Yeah. But have you got anything else to add to this?
No, not really. I'm excited to see what happens next Wednesday. So
Yeah.
So
Yeah, cool.
I'm the same. I wasn't like going, wow, this was amazing, but it was still good. It's good fight scenes. Obviously, we've still talked about good scenes.
Yeah.
There's definitely more good than bad. Definitely, I easily admit that. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are going to have a couple of cool guests on Monday's stream. I don't know if people out there have heard of Whack Comics, but we are going to have them on there. If you haven't checked them out, go to YouTube and type in Whack Comics. That is a channel that is quite different. So I don't know what we're going to be expecting Monday. But it's going to be entertaining to say the least. Let's just hope we survive the experience.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be good to see Lee and Tyler again. Until next time, everybody, we will catch you Monday for the live stream. Would you like to say anything before we go?
No, I'm ready for this long weekend, mate.
Happy Easter, everybody. And if you don't celebrate Easter, then just happy days, eh? Glad that you've got a few more days off work, if you're not working in retail anyway, because you probably are working those days off. But yeah, man. All right. We will catch you Monday night. And as always, AussieVerse for life.